Joined here in the chamber by Councilor Tim Allen, Councilor Zaida Govan. We are also joined virtually by Councilor Michael Fenton. One individual signed up to speak out is Mr. George Blake. Mr. Blake, the floor is yours, and we would just ask that you reserve your comments to approximately 3 minutes. Good to see you. Mr. Blake, it does appear you're muted. I can see you, but we can't hear you yet. Mr. Blake, it looked like you, oh, there you are. We can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Oh, hey, how are you? Oh, okay. Thank you. Just wanted to make a request from the council to help me get this safety issue on my street addressed. I've been trying to get this done for probably around 2 years. My neighbors have signed the petition or the paperwork. Mr. Fenton has and Mr. Click have helped me along the way. And I believe, as I understand it, Mr. Fenton has just given me one more task to address before it gets submitted to DPW. But I'm really, this is, with all due respect, just gone on too long. You know, I live right off of Parker Street, and, you know, the accidents and things that happen on Parker Street, and then the police show up after to sit on Parker Street and start ticketing people after these accidents have occurred. Somebody's going to lose their life on my street, and it's not necessary. And not only that, I deserve, my wife and I deserve to be able to walk up and down our street with my granddaughter, with my sons, along with my neighbors who have signed the paperwork without our health being risked. And I think it's sad, and I understand there's a process, but I think it's sad that it's gone on too long when it's a quality of life issue and a safety issue. They gave me a sign. I think, Jesse, I think you helped me, and LeVar helped me, and Dominic put a sign up. But I mean, I'm not being disrespectful to that at all, but if people don't pay attention to stoplights and green and red and yellow lights, why would they pay attention to a sign? I mean, and I guess, you know, you have to start somewhere. There's a beginning to everything. So I get that, and I'm not trying to downplay it, but it hasn't served any purpose. And I just need somebody to get on board with me and to assure me, if at all possible, that this will be taken care of when the weather breaks. You know, God willing, the snow will help slow these people down. So I'm hoping that this can be addressed as soon as the weather breaks. And I just need the council to I don't know what kind of assurances you can give me, but I need something, man. I really do. I've been patient, and I need some help, man. I need somebody to look at me and say it in front of somebody that you're going to help, and we're going to get this done in the spring. It's long enough, and I need help, and I deserve help, and so do my neighbors. So with that being said, whatever comments you could give me to help me or maybe not help me, I'd appreciate it. Any comment.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Certainly, we'll follow up with Councilor Click Bruce and Councilor Fenton, who it sounds like have been working with you on this relative to where it would fall in the process once the DPW and the Board of Public Works approved your petition, it would then come to the City Council. We wouldn't be in a position to unilaterally order it. That's why the petition exists, but certainly can ensure that you're followed up with by your ward councilor and by Councilor Fenton. And I believe that Councilor Allen has a comment on this as well. Councilor Allen?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. Mr. Blake, part of Parker Street is in my ward, out by the golf course. What part of Parker Street are you living at?
I'm down by the big cemetery park, right if you go past St. Catherine's Church on your right-hand side.
Right.
I'm probably 2 lights. I'm a next light after Hamden East going north.
Gotcha. So that is Councilor Click Bruce's ward, where that is.
Yeah,
so,
I know. Go ahead.
I figured that was it, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't in my area. I'll follow up with him.
Yeah, I've been in touch with him. Like I said, he and Mr. Fenton, Mike Fenton, I've been in touch with. Both of them have been helpful, and I'm not taking that lightly. However, I am saying, and I'm glad Mr. Fenton's here. I don't know if Mr. Bruce is here, but I am going to say, even though they have been helpful, and Mr. Fenton, I've spoken to him on the phone, I text with him, we've emailed, and I appreciate that. I'm not saying I don't, but what I am saying is it's too long. And I'm not saying Mr. Fenton or Mr. Click is making it or drawing it out. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not blaming those two gentlemen, or I'm not blaming anyone. But what I am saying is that it's been too long.
It's time.
And I don't want it to go any further.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blake.
You're welcome. All right, thank you.
And appreciate you being here this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Please say my best to the family. Thank you.
Thank you. You too, Jesse.
All right. That will conclude public speak out for the evening. Normally, we do hear proclamations on our hearings night. Tonight is a regular night. However, we're going to make an exception for a very specific and special group of individuals who are doing great work here in the city of Springfield. And that proclamation is going to be detailed and offered by Ward 8 City Councilor Zeta Govan. Councilor Govan?
Thank you, Mr. President. And today, thank you very much for taking this proclamation out of order and having it read tonight at our city council meeting. And this proclamation is for some work that has been done by a coalition that has been working hard to bring to light an issue that I think we're all going to face at one time in our lives, and that many of us are facing. And there are many more people in addition to who are named here that have been doing the work. So I really thought it was important for us to do this. So this proclamation says, whereas the Springfield City Council recognizes the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition, and whereas the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition organized in 2018 to help advance Springfield as a dementia-friendly community, regardless of race, gender identity, socioeconomic status, language, culture, religion, or natural origin. And whereas the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition since 2018 has continued to educate Springfield residents on dementia through various community events, conference panels, and individualized efforts. And whereas its 2 signature programs, A Sense of Dignity, My Journey Through the World of Dementia, and Memory Sunday, have garnered support from local and state partnerships such as Bay State Health, the Alzheimer's Association, Springfield Department of Elder Affairs, the Greater Springfield Senior Services, Faith-Based Health Alliance, and UMass. And whereas the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition is being recognized with an award from the Mass Humanities for bringing the dark to light stories of dementia through narrative conversations of persons living with dementia and or their caregivers. And whereas under the leadership of Z. Johnson and the entire coalition, Springfield is taking a greater role in increasing awareness of dementia and in addressing this growing public health problem. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the City Council of Springfield, Massachusetts hereby recognizes the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition for its continued resilience to ensure that every senior in the city of Springfield ages with dignity and respect in a safe and loving environment. And in November was Caregiver Month. We want to express our gratitude to all caregivers, and we thank the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition for its service to the people of Springfield and their profound dedication to human rights and equality. And this is a proclamation sponsored on December 11th in honor of Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition, and is sponsored by myself, City Councilor Zeta Govan. I do want to recognize Brenda Evans, who has been a staunch advocate for dementia, being dementia friendly, Cynthia Clemens, who's my good friend and a nurse and runs a program, and my other good friend in addition to Z. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan, and I know we have the representatives of the coalition are present. If any or all of you would like to come to the podium, introduce yourselves, and tell the council a little bit about your work. We are joined also virtually now by Councilor Hurst.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am Z. Johnson, the chairperson of the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition, and I'm glad to have a couple of our members with us. We are a full force of 10. I'm glad to have at least 4 of us here today, so I'll have them introduce themselves, and I would love to give you a statement afterward. Thank you.
Excellent. Not all at once.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Doris Harris, and I have been part of the Springfield Dementia Coalition for quite some time.
Hi, and thank you, everyone. I'm Cynthia Clemens. I'm a registered nurse and owner of Safe Harbor Adult and Senior Services, a residential program specifically for those with dementia and Alzheimer's.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda Evans. I am a lifelong resident of the city of Springfield, and I have been a part of the Springfield Dementia Friendly Coalition under the leadership of the late, rest in power, Miss Cynthia with a S, Scott Mitchell. Thank you.
So here's our statement to you, City Councilwoman Zeta Govan, and the City Council for recognizing the importance of our work. So as chairperson of the coalition, I want to thank you for this acknowledgement. And as a quick note, and I know we've heard it before, but we've been around since 2018. But over the last 2 years, we've been fully committed to the work of providing education to the residents of Springfield regarding all types of dementia. The grant from Mass Humanities just reinforces how the work we do in creating awareness around dementia is critical, since 1 in 10 persons over age 65 will have a diagnosis. However, our work cannot be done alone or in a vacuum. We thank our partners that you mentioned in the proclamation, and we will recognize our new partners on the horizon. The work is certainly bigger than one organization, and we are counting on all hands on deck, including this City Council and the City of Springfield, to help us reduce the stigma of dementia and to have folks experience a quality of life, even if they are living with dementia. So we are proud to receive this proclamation. We also look forward to working with the new or the current Elder Affairs Committee person. Right now is Victor Devala. I don't know who it may be in the future, but we would certainly make our presence known. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And before we invite the coalition members forward for a photo, Councilor Allen or Councilor Hurst, do either of you wish to be heard? Councilor Allen?
Yeah, please. Thanks, Mr. President. Thanks for coming here. Z, I've known you in a couple past lives, and also Brenda Evans. That was a while ago, Brenda, but I loved working with you. So thanks for your work. I'm in that age group, so thanks for all the work and concern and love you show to people by offering them services. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Hurst, did you wish to add anything?
No, I would just say thank you for the work. So important, and it's definitely something that we ought to recognize and acknowledge. And Zyda, I appreciate you bringing it to the forefront. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. And certainly, I think you couldn't ask for a better group of advocates. I look out before us today, and we know you're a little short tonight on your full coalition membership, but each and every one of you I've known in a different capacity, and in each capacity that I've known you, you've been powerful. And so we know you're going to continue to be powerful in that advocacy into the future. And if I recall correctly, I think I may have been at your launch, because I think it was shortly after I had first been elected 6 years ago, and I remember Cynthia Scott Mitchell being there, my former neighbor, and certainly somebody who put me in order on quite a few occasions, and it was welcome. So we know you also carry that work on in her legacy instead as well. So thank you for everything you have done and everything that you will continue to do, and we'd love to welcome you forward to take a photo with the counselors that are present, for your scrapbook, and we'll have the council staff come in and take that photo for us. I got Kelly, yeah, George.
I have the Nora Fleming.
Council will be in order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Walsh.
Present.
Present. Counselor Fenton.
Present.
Present. Counselor Perez.
Present.
Present. Counselor Whitfield. Absent. Counselor Govan.
Present.
Present. Counselor Allen.
Present.
Present. Counselor Brown. Absent. Counselor Hurst. Absent. Counselor Click Bruce.
Present.
Present. Counselor Edwards.
Present.
Present. Counselor Curran. Absent. Counselor Davila. Absent. Counselor Letterman.
Present. Madam Clerk, please recognize Councilor Whitfield.
Counselor Whitfield.
Present.
Present.
Thank you. Will council and guests please rise and join me in a moment of silence? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can all be seated. Are there any reports of committee this evening? Councilor Fenton?
General Government Committee met earlier this evening. We had 2 items on our agenda: the Police Supervisors Arbitration Award and the amendment to the illegal dumping ordinance. Councilors in attendance were Councilors Walsh, Perez, Edwards, Allen, and Davila. During the meeting, we heard testimony from the Police Supervisors Union as well as the HR Department and Labor Relations. We made no recommendation on that matter, but did hear many of the issues that the council wished for us to discuss in committee based on the last regular meeting in which it was referred. So we're calling that matter back out for a vote tonight. And the second matter that was discussed was the illegal dumping ordinance. We heard testimony from the council as well as the Parks Department and the Police Department on enforcement. And Councilor Davila and I are hopeful that we can take second and third step on that matter this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Councilor Hurst
Counselor Hurst?
Present.
Present.
and Councilor Brown?
Counselor Brown?
Present.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilor Govan on the report.
Thank you. We had our last Neighborhood Quality of Life meeting, subcommittee meeting, and the topic was mental health. We had a couple of members there, and we are in the process of finalizing our report, hopefully have it done before the expected date. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Allen on the report.
Thanks, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met just before this meeting at 5:30. We approved all items, Councilor Govan and myself that were in attendance, and we approved all the items except the award of the $3 million for the contract because we have to see if, what the status of that is. But all other contracts were, all other items were approved. I wanted to also mention 2 things that are holdover items from last week from the tax meetings. I've asked Patrick Greenhall from the Board of Assessors to, I've talked with him, and they're doing 2 things. They have followed up with everyone who spoke at the microphone that night. Jessica from the Board of Assessors has called everybody. The only thing he requested was that some people came up that night and had not signed up. So if you have information about name and address and contact info for people who just might have come up to the microphone that night, he would like that. But they've called everybody else who had signed up for follow-up. And the second thing is, I've asked him if he can provide us a summary of our tax relief programs, similar to what Councilor Fenton recited that night with all the different tax relief programs we have. I told him I thought it would be very helpful if we had that in writing. So he's planning to do those 2 things. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Councilor Davila?
Counselor Davila?
Present.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any further reports of committee? Councilor Edwards.
On December 1st, the Planning and Economic Development Committee met for a discussion of a TIF application for Performance Food Group. Quorum was established by presence of myself and committee member Perez. We were also joined by Councilor Click Bruce. Representing the city was Tim Sheehan, Brian Connors, Matt Fontaine, as well as 2 representatives from PFG. The request that will be coming before us either before the end of the month or shortly after the first of the year will be for a 10-year exemption of 58% applied for new construction only. The city will continue to collect the assessed values on the present site. This proposal project would double the capacity of the present operation, which is on Roosevelt Avenue, adjacent to Smith & Wesson. They would essentially be building an addition to the present facility they have, and which would double its size and its capacity. The investment is estimated to be at $31.7 million and create 350 new jobs with an average wage of $74,000 per year. Their intention is to give hiring preferences to the city residents and intends to use local labor for construction. The impact will also expand the use beneficial to our local vendors. They secured the support of the East Springfield Neighborhood Council, and one of the issues that was addressed by the council was increased truck traffic, and the council reported at the committee that that is not an issue and has not been an issue because most of the truck deliveries are either very early in the morning or late at night, and with the proximity to at least two local schools, they have not and expect no interruptions or an increased traffic because that would conflict with those schools' operations. Depending on they're hopeful with all inspections and applications that they will be able to break ground in the spring of 2024.
Thank you, Councilor Edwards. Councilor Whitfield.
I just wanted to comment on Councilor Edwards' presentation. I just wanted to say it was a good write-up because it made me understand everything that's going on with this TIF, so I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Are there any further reports of committee? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept the reports.
On acceptance of the reports of committee, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The reports are accepted. Madam Clerk, please call the first item.
The first item is the October Revenue versus Expenditure Report.
Acting CAFO.
Thank you, Mr. President. Patrick Burns, 90 Clement Street, Springfield. Tonight, I'm presenting the October Revenue versus Expenditure Report. It represents the first 4 months of fiscal year 2024. Our general fund revenue is at $341.2 million, or 38% of budget. On the expenditure side, our expenditures total $377.3 million, or 42% of budget.
Thank you, Mr. CAFO. Are there any questions on the report? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept.
On acceptance of the report, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The report is accepted. Madam Clerk, please call item 2.
Item 2 is a petition for an honorary street sign for Miss Abby Davies.
And I know Clerk Magistrate Donald Whitney is with us to speak to this petition. Mr. Whitney, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, council members, both virtual and live. It's really my honor to be here tonight on behalf of Abby Davies, who I served with, both as an attorney and then as a fellow colleague working in the juvenile court department. I can tell you that she is one of the most extraordinary, if not the most extraordinary public servant that I have met in my career, which expands 25 years as a clerk magistrate and another 12 as a lawyer. Abby came up through the Springfield schools. She's a product of our city. She graduated from classical in 1961. She raised her family, and in 1987, She applied for a job as a temp clerk in the trial court. She was assigned to the juvenile court department in Springfield. Now, I know a lot of you are familiar with temp work. She had no guarantee of future. She had no benefits besides her weekly pay. But what the clerk's office and the judges serving in the court realized from the start, that she had incredible potential. This is a woman that took a high school diploma and stood toe-to-toe with lawyers, judges, and was able to serve the community with respect and with their respect. Abby, she was also a Local 6 member, so we got some union roots here as well. When she joined management, it was Chief Justice Branches Poitras from Boston appointed her, and she became the first African-American woman to serve as a clerk magistrate in the Massachusetts trial court. And I think that's a special distinction, which probably brings me here tonight. But it's just as special who she was as a person, because it wasn't just a title. If you knew Abby, she conducted herself with no pretenses. What you saw is what you got. And whether you were a judge, a lawyer, a parent, a juvenile, you had her attention, you had her respect. And that's why I say that she's a quintessential public employee. She served the court well, and she served this community well. I know you've seen in the package some of the letters that were presented. Abby's family was up from Georgia. They live in Georgia now, and after she retired, Abby went down to live with them until she passed. But they came up for an event at the trial court where Mayor Sarno honored her for her contributions to the city. And the pride they see in their mother is, well, tenfold of the pride that everybody that worked with Abby has for her. She was wonderful, and, well, I'm not going to say any more, but I am available for questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I do. I'm going to take that back. One thing I do want to share with you. I became clerk magistrate in 1998. I was appointed by Governor Cellucci. Abby applied for the same position, and she was supported by First Justice Rebecca Crampton. Now, we all know how these things go when it comes to governor's appointments. But Abby was formidable because her abilities were so strong, and I think what held her back the most was that she only had a high school diploma at a time when all the clerk magistrates being appointed were coming through with law degrees. But just an example of how wonderful Abby is, she knew me as a lawyer before I was appointed. And when I had to go before the governor's council, Abby went with me. She went from a contestant to a colleague, to a friend, to a supporter. And that's the type of person she was. It was all about the kids, it was about the parents, it was about getting the job done and serving the public. And I wish we could clone her and make thousands more. But
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. Are there any questions from members of the council? Seeing none, without objection, and just for the record, both Councilor Brown and I were present at the presentation that Mr. Whitney made to the McKnight Neighborhood Council, where he received a unanimous vote in favor of the honorary street sign. So seeing no further deliberation or questions, Councilor Whitfield.
I just wanted to say, after that testimony, that speech, that story about your relationship, how could anybody not support this street sign? Like, that was a beautiful, beautiful presentation that you did of Miss Abby. And I never knew her, but I felt like I knew her a little bit through you. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Counselor Whitfield. Is there any further deliberation? Counselor Allen?
I agree with Counselor Whitfield, and I talked to Mr. Whitney beforehand, and one of the letters in here is from a personal friend of mine who worked with her in the courts, and sounds like an awesome person who should be recognized, and I'm glad we're doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. Is there any further questions, comments, or deliberation? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on authorizing the sign.
On authorizing the sign, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran, absent. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The petition is approved.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
and
you.
support. Have a good meeting.
Madam Clerk, please call item 3.
Item 3 is for a local burn JAG grant, and no match required, in the amount of $49,982.91.
Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Deputy Caffa.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a grant received from the, received for the police department. It's from EOPS, and it's for the department to implement their BOLA wrap program. The funding is broken up about $20,000 to salaries for training, about $20,000 towards the equipment, and then $10,000 for cartridges for the BOLA wraps. Officer Kelleher is here if there's any questions specific to the program.
Thank you, Deputy Caffo. Are there any questions or deliberation amongst the council? Counselor Allen?
I think it would be good if Mr. Keller could just come up and explain what it is.
Sure, Officer Keller.
He did in the Finance Committee meeting.
Please state your name for the record.
Anthony Kelleher.
The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. President, council members. Appreciate it. Very briefly, I know there was a news conference several months back where they highlighted when we implemented this device in the first place. BOLA wrap is an additional tool that would be available to officers. Our goal is to make this tool available to different areas, to have one assigned to each district on varying shifts so that it's a tool that would be available. Basically, what the BOLA wrap is a deployment device that acts as handcuffs would, so it's considered a remote restraint device. What it does is it actually deploys out a just over 7-foot Kevlar cord with little probes on the end, and it can actually wrap up an individual. And the goal behind this is to either reduce or avoid additional force having to be used. It's relatively new as a product overall. It's fairly new in the city of Springfield. We've trained just over 30 officers so far with our current program on varying shifts and made it available to different areas in the city. With the grant, we'd be looking to expand that process. Again, this is not a replacement tool. It is not to replace TASER or replace OC or other force options that officers might have to use in the course of their duties. It's an additional tool. Basically, they consider it, like I said, a remote restraint. It's relatively low impact. There is, as with any device, some risk of injury, as there are probes on the end of the Kevlar cord that are designed to get caught up on clothing so that somebody could be subdued. Typically, this isn't going to be used in the criminal matters that we deal with. This is more geared toward maybe the person that is in crisis, mental health issues, somebody who might be mildly aggressive but not quite overtly assaultive toward officers at this point. It's just another option that we would have to safely subdue somebody with a limited amount of force.
Thank you, Officer Kelleher. Are there any further questions? Counselor Brown?
Thank you, Mr. President.
My question is for Officer Kelleher. Or is that the highest ranking police official available today?
That is the representative that is before us.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Kelleher, for your work and your service. A lot of times, as you know, being a cop's kid, I do understand a lot of times when dealing with the public, it can be stressful. My issue really isn't so much the non-lethal. It's still about the actual de-escalation process. Are you guys actually, because now you have something where it might not be non-lethal, but it still can be used more frequently than it might need to be used with inappropriate training? Are you training the de-escalation portion of handling the issues? Because you're gonna go into issues and people are gonna be upset, people are gonna be mad, and now you're gonna use this on them. They're not, gun carrying or anything. It's more using it on these type of individuals, these type of situations. Are we training the officers to have the ability to de-escalate the situation before using this actual equipment?
Absolutely. So specific to the curriculum for the BOLA-RAP, but also to just any curriculum that we put forward when it comes to use of force, de-escalation is always part of that curriculum. So this isn't a tool that we're simply training individuals on to go in and just to use it because it's available. Obviously, with our program and what we've done with de-escalation over the last several years, it's an important process with force, so that is being not just incorporated in this, but all aspects of use of force training at the current time.
Okay, and this is who does the training? Are you doing the training? Who does the training?
So right now, my current assignment with the police department is assigned to the training division. So I am one of the instructors that is a use of force instructor, along with BOLA-RAP, myself and several others.
Because when it comes, but when it comes to the de-escalation portion, and I'll be in this real quick, and why I ask, as far as how we de-escalate and teach the police how to deal with the actual public itself, I give them an F-. And I'm a supporter of the police officers, cop kid. But a lot of times, I remember back in the days where you weren't so afraid of these cops like that. Right now, we're getting new, younger cops who actually don't know how to deal with the public. I was just in a situation where, as a city councilor, I was disrespected. Go down to the police station like most people, and it wasn't that great of an experience. It was a horrible experience. So now we put these new things in, and I already know a lot of times what it's going to be is, it's going to be you guys sitting there shooting that stuff at people who cops really just not, they're going to make angry, mad black people who are sick and tired, and individuals in the industry who are just sick and tired, and now you're all going to keep shooting those things at people, and I might be one of them. So I just want to make sure that we're having a sensitivity training and teaching these cops how to de-escalate a situation without running around like John Rambo with a new toy. So I just would emphasize that. I really appreciate the work and the service that you guys do, but sometimes you can get some of them bad apples who are now going to be very happy to have a new toy to harass people with. But other than that, I really am looking forward to the new equipment. We definitely need it. And I definitely appreciate you, yourself, and your service, and the other police officers and their service. But we really have to watch as far as being sensitive to the people that they're in, the environment that they're going to use that actual equipment on. So let's think about de-escalation with this actual thing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor Brown. Counselor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I was in the presentation earlier today, and I also want to thank you for your service to our department, to our city. Now, one question that I didn't get answered is the pronged hooks. Are those really like fish hooks, or what are they?
So they do look similar to fish hooks. I can look in here to get a better image for you. I could certainly pull up an image.
Are they like sharp like fish hooks?
So they do have a sharp edge to them.
Okay.
And reason being is the device itself. So the Kevlar cord, like I stated before, is just over 7 feet. So it comes out with a span of just over 7 feet. As it is deployed, there are specific intended target areas for this device. It is certainly something that we take into consideration with training along with de-escalation and the other components. But typically we're looking to either wrap the elbow to wrist area of the upper body or between the knees and the ankles of the lower body of a subject. And that is to help wrap them safely and to be able to minimize their movement following that. It's also to reduce the risk of injury because there is a sharp edge on this. The design is so that it could potentially get caught on clothing, because otherwise the Kevlar cord would just simply unwrap. So it does have to have that component to it. So there certainly is not a 0% risk of injury, just like any device when it comes to having to use on an individual, but it's certainly, if used properly and through our training and our process to get certified, those are all considerations that we take in.
Yeah, well, I think it certainly sounds better than a gun to stop someone. And I understand Councilor Brown's, point around de-escalation. I know we've been talking about that in our department for a long time. And I believe that I've heard in the past that you guys have been doing some of those trainings. And I'm hoping, to continue to have the department improve in their responses to our community. Sometimes we do get approached by people, and that could be anybody in the public. It could be a public servant. So I think we have to just remember, that people have different personalities, and I'm glad that we're getting this because it is a non-lethal. I'd rather have that probably shot at me than a gun.
Sure.
So I think it's a good idea, and I just had that question regarding the prongs. Thank you.
Absolutely. And again, it is a non-lethal option. Like I stated, it's classified as a remote restraint. But also, too, just a note, it is not, typically, we don't anticipate this to be used on a daily basis by any stretch. One of the neighboring departments that I spoke with, a member of their training division, has had it in service for over a year now, and they've deployed it 3 times. And that's what they reported to us. This is a very specific tool for very specific circumstances. Obviously, again, it's not to replace tools, because when force is necessary, we want our officers to be trained to use the proper tools to affect what they need to. But very specific set of circumstances when we use this, like I said, more leaning toward maybe the person in crisis, the emotionally disturbed person who needs medical attention. They may be a danger to themselves or to others, and that is our intent behind restraining them. Maybe more leaning away from the criminal side of things, dealing with a subject versus dealing with a suspect.
Right, yeah. And that's what I think one of the things that I appreciate about that, it is for more mental health crises than a criminal situation. So thank you. Those are my remarks. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor Govan. Counselor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. To me, I would like to see, what does this look like? You're talking about a net that's going to envelop someone?
So no, not so much a net. So I described it earlier in the subcommittee meeting as probably being about the size of a TV remote or of something of similar size. So basically what it is, it has what they call a cassette in there, and inside of that cassette is the 7.5-foot Kevlar cord with those 2 probes on either end. And the device is an electronic device that is used by the officer. It has a laser guiding system on it, so you can see where your intended aiming points are on the subject. It also has a flashlight on there for low light conditions in case that's an issue that we run into. And basically when it comes out, those 2 weighted probes, they will expand out to either side, and then the goal is that it would wrap around the subject. It's just a cord, it's not a net. So that's why we would either try to wrap up either the upper body of the individual or the lower body, so that it would kind of incapacitate their movement to an extent, allow officers to move in safely and further restrain them with traditional methods like handcuffs, so that we can do it with a limited amount of force or do it safe or as safely as possible.
It doesn't cover their face though, right?
I'm sorry?
Does it cover their face?
No, it's simply just a Kevlar cord. So it comes out as basically looking like a very slim rope, but that Kevlar material is very durable and strong, so that if the person did try to break away from it, it would be pretty difficult to actually break that rope just based on the material. But it certainly doesn't cover the face or anything like that. And like I said, it has very specific intended target areas. We're looking to restrain the person so that we can get in there safely and assist them with whatever measures are to follow. But it's simply just a cord that would either wrap, this portion of the upper body or between the knees and the ankles of the lower body.
Well, I don't know how I feel about that. But one thing I do know that is being preached today is because I didn't like the reference to people that had mental health issues that would be used for that. One of the things that's very popular now is that when you have a mental health issue or crisis, when the police officer goes out, they have a mental health clinician with them. Is that the case with the Springfield Police Department?
So that's certainly the case, that we've been working with mental health clinicians in the field. We're one of the first departments in the state to be utilizing such a program with that. In regards to that, like I said, with this tool, it is not to replace anything. Our measures of still having BHN clinicians responding in tandem with officers, de-escalating, trying to communicate verbally, and using all of our other avenues to deal with a subject in crisis like that are still certainly in play. This is just one additional measure that we would have available to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. Yeah, Anthony, could you just talk about this relative to the DOJ? Is it something that is in sync with the DOJ recommendations or et cetera?
So specifically, no, but to my knowledge, the policy has been put out through our settlement agreement implementation unit. So it having been put out recently, it was certainly reviewed by the DOJ. And our policy is also in accordance with the MPTC, the training council that governs all of our use of force for the state of Massachusetts.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tony, good to see you. Mr. President, I have to say that credit is, credit has to be, credit is due where credit is due. And I am of the strong opinion, sir, that our police department has made gargantuous efforts in improving their de-escalation and how they handle mental crisis situations. There's always room for improvement, but I can personally vouch, Mr. President, that the officers are really going out of the way to try to use the least amount of force when it comes to mental health crisis. I've seen officers, sir, where they have really initiated a crisis call. They stay on scene, they talk to the person. In my opinion, they really have done a fantastic job. And I see this as Tony said, Officer Keller said, yes, it's another tool in the toolbox, which is necessary because, as I'm sure Officer Keller can attest to, scenes can go very badly very quickly. And I see this as another tool to try to subdue the subject rather quickly, where there's less damage to the person and also less liability and exposure to the city on that aspect. But I do have one question for you, Tony. Do we have is this already deployed, or are we just getting this so we can buy the BOLA wrap and deploy it?
So we have begun the training process with these. To date, we have just about 30 officers trained in them. I believe recently that 2 of them were put out into the field for use. We have had no deployments in the city with this device yet.
Okay, how much each one goes for roughly?
That, I don't have the numbers on that. I've been dealing more with the training side of
Training
things and
aspect
not
of
so
it.
much the purchase order and things of that nature.
Very well. And just out of curiosity, just to address some of the concerns that I finished at this point, Mr. President, some of my colleagues may or may not have about the baller wrap. If you didn't have a baller wrap, the officer will have to default to the other tools that he has, which may include OC, baton, unfortunately, and depending on what the level of force is, it might be more force than we expect or that we would like to use. So by having the baller wrap, it's really going to minimize the use of force on the subject, correct?
I think it certainly has the potential to in the right circumstances. Like I said, it's a very specific set of circumstances,
Right.
and we don't want officers to replace it with other devices, but it's what we've seen and what the training entails is that it has the potential to certainly help us either avoid a situation that could lead to force or to reduce it.
Gotcha.
So that we're using a lesser amount if tasked
Thank
to
you.
do so.
Officer Collier, I thank you for your excellent work, my good sir. Thank you for the thorough explanation. And Mr. President, I will be delighted to vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things that I wanted to say also. I do think that the police department has made great strides with training and de-escalation. I have to agree with that comment that Councilor Davila made. I'm also glad that we have a new younger force that's coming in, that's trying to use as many tools as they can to de-escalate a situation without force, especially deadly force. So I definitely appreciate that. However, I do have a couple of questions about where was the device tested? Like, where did you get your data from? And to your knowledge, has there been any injuries using the Ebola wrap?
So in the city of Springfield on injuries, no, because it hasn't been deployed yet. So we don't have any data on that. All the data that we're using right now comes from Wrap Technologies, which is the parent company for this device. And that is who certifies the instructors, and then we then go out and certify the users for the department. This is a device that is recognized by EOPS and the MPTC, the Training Council for the state. They do have policies that ours fall in line with, so it's an accepted tool on their end.
Are you Officer Keller? What is your title?
Officer, ma'am.
Officer, I just don't understand the acronyms a little bit, like OPS, like something ops you said. I just wanted to know if you could just slow that down for me just a little bit.
Sure, I'm sorry. So the MPTC is what, on the training side, I deal with a lot, which is the Municipal Police Training Council. They are the council that oversees training for the state of Massachusetts. Them, in conjunction with Post, are where we get our standards and our guidelines from.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. And so about the data piece, I know that Springfield hasn't deployed it yet, but were there any injuries when you guys went over the data, had the meeting or the conversation?
So just like any other device, and it is part of our training that we have to certainly bring up, that the goal of this device is, as I previously stated. However, like anything, any tool that we have, there is the risk of injury. And there could be varying reasons why. It could be improper use. It could be a failure on the device's part. But ultimately, part of our training that we do harp on is the ability for the officer to understand when to use it, how to use it, and to pass a series of practical and written examinations to be a certified user for this device.
But so far you got 30 trained, so that's good. You're taking it slow. So that is a good step. And then finally, I just wanted to make a comment based on what Councilor Walsh said, just like to be careful when you kind of like use mental health, like it should be whatever situation warrants using the BOLA device, not just like, I know what you're saying, just we gotta make sure that our folks that do have mental health are protected as well as anyone that this device may be used on. So I thank you. I will also support this tool.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Are there any further councilors that wish to comment or question prior to our vote on accepting the grant? Councilor Walsh, I see your hand is up, but that may be from before.
Yeah, I just lowered it.
Thank you. Seeing no further deliberation amongst the council, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on accepting the grant.
On accepting the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The grant is accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call item 4.
Item 4 is free cash to Police Department SPSA decision in the amount of $3,014,048.
Councilor Allen on the order.
Thank you, Mr. President. Without objection, I think it would be prudent to move item 4 to the end of the agenda. The last item on the agenda is the contract, and if we pass it, we'll need that money. So I think that would be that's my recommendation.
Without objection, item 4 will be laid on the table to the end of the meeting. Hearing no objection, shall be so. Madam Clerk, please call item 5.
Item 5 is free cash to OPEB Trust in the amount of $1,931,780.
Mr. Caffo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, we're asking to have the 10% of free cash moved to the OPEB Trust Fund. OPEB is other post-employment benefits, mainly health insurance. These funds are going to pre-fund the liability we have for future retirees and their health insurance.
Thank you, Mr. Caffo. Are there any questions from members of the council? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on authorizing the transfer.
On authorizing the transfer, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. Transfer is authorized. Madam Clerk, please call item 6.
Item 6 is for bills of prior year, Facilities Department in the amount of $1,231.12.
Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Mr. Krupchik.
Sir, thank you. Counselor. Pete Krupczak, Springfield Parks. These are just some bills from our Facilities Division that we received late, prior year bills, and we want to pay them, want to carry over.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the order? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to authorize the bill of prior year.
On authorizing the bills of prior year, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The order is authorized. Madam Clerk, please call item 7.
Item 7 is for a donation for the Police K-9 Unit.
Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Ms. Hackett.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a donation to our police department's K-9 unit. It's made up of multiple donations in honor of Timothy Twining.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from members of the council? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept the donations.
On accepting the donation, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are accepted. The votes are sufficient. The donation is accepted. Please let the donors know they have the gratitude of the Springfield City Council. Madam Clerk, please call item 8.
Item 8 is for a special act for special police officers.
Councilor Click Bruce.
All right, thank you, Council President. So we'd like to bring this to the City Council. Myself and Michael Fenton, Councilor Fenton, met with the police union and a few other members about maybe a month or so ago. And we're looking to increase the age from 65 to 70. We know the low police officers that we have in the city. So we're looking to increase the pool where we can have the officers stay on duty. And it's the appointment of special police officers in the city of Springfield. So typically those officers will be doing like traffic, things of that nature that won't be in the line of duty. So coming here to ask the council to look to support this, raising the age from 65 to 70. So I just want to present that to the city council. Also, and I'll kick it over to fellow councilor Mike Fenton, who was also in the meeting. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Chairman Click Bruce, for bringing this forward. As LeVar stated, this is a proposal that would increase the age through which a retired police officer could come back on callback to do extra details for us. So we passed through special home rule legislation a few years ago a local rule that allowed officers who are retired but until they reach the age of 65 to be able to come back and do extra side details for us to meet ongoing demands and combat attrition. So this proposal is to increase that age to 70 years old, and it was brought to our attention particularly as some of the more active and recently retired members of the force who participate in this program are on the verge of aging out far before they're ready to fully retire, and they think that 70 is an appropriate age. We agree.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. This item is on for first step. Is there any deliberation amongst the council?
Mr. President, if I could on that, this should be coming on as an order.
It is on as an order, Councilor Fenton, but I would understand if it was a home rule petition, it would have the same process as general ordinance or legislation.
I will defer to you, but I don't believe that's correct.
Would your interpretation be that this could be passed in one act?
Yes.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that it is not an ordinance.
It is not an ordinance, but it is affecting an ordinance. So the previous language was passed as home rule petition.
Yes.
Which is a local law that is forwarded to the general court from the city of Springfield's legislative body.
I mean, I will defer to you, like I said, but I think historically on home rule petitions that we've done just one vote.
Well,
I don't think we've done.
Here's what we'll do. We'll take a vote tonight, and if this is the only vote that is needed, it will pass. And if we determine further vote is needed, then we will take it up at the next regular meeting.
That's fine.
Okay. Councilor Govan on the order.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is a really great idea. I'm wondering, I don't know if you guys have any answer to this. Do you know how many officers will be affected by this, by any chance?
I mean, I don't know if Councilor Click Bruce does. I do not have that information off the top of my head. I don't think it's more than a few dozen.
Okay. No, I think it's a great idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think it's a great idea because I agree that, once you retire, especially when from a job like that, you get bored and you need something to do. So I think it'd be great to have them come back and serve the public once again. So thank you. I'll be voting for this.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. We'll go to Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just curious as far as, are they keeping their rank and their first rank and seniority?
Councilor
Through
Fenton.
the, yeah,
Yeah, Councilor
through
Fenton.
the chair.
Or Councilor
So yeah,
Clippers.
I was, and I can defer to Mike too, but Councilor Fenton, but I would suggest any questions in reference to that. I really don't know, but I can definitely ask and get an answer for regarding that question, Councilor Brown, and also Councilor. I'm drawing a blank here. Go on. Yes, I'll make sure I get those answered.
And the only reason why I ask is because I know that is kind of where it'd be somewhat of a little working out, because now you're talking about, say, like a captain or a sergeant, or say a senior police officer who's now retired, and there's different pay rates. It's different than maybe a regular patrol officer who retired based on a captain who retired or a deputy who retired. Now you have a sergeant or a captain who's doing, say, police duty, and then now you have a person, because it's still seniority. So you have someone who you outrank as a retired police officer based on maybe an individual who isn't a retired police officer, when you're talking about like disciplinary and, because it's still more like seniority based and, certain protocols. Like my dad is a captain. So that's the only thing I kind of like, I would be curious of how they would work that out, because it still would also affect some of the existing police officers looking to continue to take the test and move up. If I'm a young aspiring police officer and I want to be a sergeant, and you got say 5 sergeants who are like 66, 67, 68, and now they're part of that program. How are they going to now how is that going to affect me in upgoing? Because on the books you still have sergeants and captains. They're not going anywhere based on attrition or anything. So that's the only thing I kind of would wonder how they would work that stuff out. But that's it. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Perez.
Yeah, my question was similar. This is retired officers, and would they be hired as consultant rather than police officer? It's similar to the question.
Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Councilor Perez, for the question. These are retired officers, so they would have a special designation to come back as a special officer under this program. I want to reiterate that these are not officers that would be paid by the city of Springfield. Their fees are generated by outside parties that end up utilizing them for different road jobs, such as Eversource or the Water and Sewer Commission and other private entities that need road details.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Whitfield.
Well, Councilor Fenton just answered my question, because I was just going to ask about a financial analysis on how much it was going to cost the city. But since it's police detail, then there's no real additional cost to the city. But why does this order have to be filed? The maximum age that they could do that before was 65?
Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, Councilor Whitfield. When we passed this last time, we put the age cap at 65. I don't remember why we did it, but I think that was too young.
Yeah, because they're just retiring, right? So they got a few months, or I don't know. Okay, that explains it. Thank you.
Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to say that on its face, this is very good. I'm pretty happy to see that we have the potential and that we will retain some of the expertise and that knowledge that these retired officers have on the table. Many of them who have 40, some of them 50 years on the job. So I am thrilled with that. I agree with Councilor Fenton. It is my understanding that special police officers are a special category within the police department, and they do have full police powers when they're acting as a police officer. It is my understanding that most of the officers here are being deployed to job details and I believe special events, and they have a different, and their salary and the compensation comes from the private entities. Obviously, this is going to increase the pool of people out there, which is, I think, is a great idea. I will be voting for this, but I would just put out there a small caution that the future temptation that may or may not arise of utilizing these officers in another capacity other than what is being used for, I think will be subject to negotiation with the police union. So we need to make sure, make a mental note that that needs to happen if we're going to use them in any form, shape, or form other than what's being used. Other than that, I think that it's a fantastic idea. We had difficulties filling the road details. I know the sheriff department has been pitching in, and the sheriff have been coming and helping out. And I will be very glad to vote for this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Is there any further deliberation amongst councilors on the special act? Seeing none, I've looked into this while we were debating, and it will be considered a special act with one vote. Final passage will be tonight if it passes. Seeing no further deliberation, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on authorizing the special act.
On authorizing the special act, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yeah, excuse me, yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran. Absent, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the act is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 9.
Item 9 is an order granting permanent utility easement to EMTAY, Inc. at Mary Shea Park on Longfellow Terrace.
Mr. Krupchak.
Counselor, the Law Department has drafted an easement agreement for an underground water service utility line through Longfellow Terrace, also known as Mary Shea Park. Park Department's in favor of this. I don't know if there's any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the council? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to approve the easement.
On approving the easement, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran. Absent, Councilor Davila. Away, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The easement is approved.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call item 10.
Item 10 is an order to amend Chapter 327-3-M.
This one is an amendment to an ordinance that is on for second and third step. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Give me a quick second, Mr. President. Yes, as you're correct, sir, this is up for a second and third step today. And this is an order to amend Chapter 327-13M being proposed by myself, by Councilor Fenton, and His Honor Major Sarno. And what we're looking to do here, sir, is that we are going to be increasing the fines for litter and here in the city of Springfield and Overgrove. And this is targeting not the person that throws the paper wrap onto the floor, but the people who go out and collectively litter in our parks, Mr. President. As we all know, we have been having serious difficulties here in the city, particularly in my own district. I think of Porter Lake Road, where they're constantly being dumping illegal, you name it, whether it's from mattresses to TVs, God knows what, tires. And so what this is looking to do is to put one fine system. Right now, Mr. President, the fine system that we have is stacked. That is 100, 200, and 300. What this does is it replaces that with one $500 fine per occurrence. And to put some real teeth into this, because unfortunately, city ordinances, fines, people could take them and just rip them up apart and never pay it. So what we want to do is, if the person does not pay the fine, is going to be attached to their car registration. If the car was used in the illegal act of dumping, and that will give some serious teeth to that. Similarly, Mr. President, like I was done with the illegal fireworks ordinance, which I had the pleasure of authoring myself as well, and to really put some teeth into telling people that this is our city, we do not tolerate littering, that we take the environment seriously. And also, I have to say that I believe, I don't see him here, but there was a representative from the police department who told us that most of the people that they catch doing the illegal dumping here in the city are from outside the city. So that will be the icing on the cake. People talk bad about the city, tell us that we are a crappy place, then they come into our city, they're going to illegally dump, and they're still going to talk bad about the city. So I'm very excited about this. I encourage all my colleagues to jump on this and support this, and pass this today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Is there any further questions or deliberation on the amendment? Seeing none. Without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on authorizing the amendment to the ordinance.
On authorizing the amendment, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown. Away, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran, absent. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The amendment passes. Is there a motion to invoke Rule 22C to allow the amendment to pass finally this evening?
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilor Edwards. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Davila. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on Rule 22C invocation.
On invoking Rule 22C, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown. Away, Counselor Click Bruce. Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran, absent. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The amendment shall be considered finally passed. Madam Clerk, please call item 11.
Item 11 is an interest arbitration award for the Springfield Police Supervisors Union.
This item is being returned from committee, is my understanding, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
And do you wish to speak on the item prior to further deliberation?
Yes, I would. Yes, thank you, Mr.
Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just say that the General Government Committee met earlier today. During that meeting, we heard testimony, as I said during my committee report, from representatives of the Police Supervisors Union, their counsel, as well as Bill Mahoney and the Labor Relations Department. At the end of that, it was determined that we would bring this out for a vote tonight, And I do believe that Mr. Mahoney and some members of his team are here if there's any questions that have come up since we last heard this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Fenton. Is there any further deliberation amongst the council? Seeing none? Without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approving the interest arbitration award.
On approving the item, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown. Away, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The award is authorized. Madam Clerk, just let the record reflect that it does seem that Councilor Brown has disconnected. I'll let you know if he reconnects. Madam Clerk, please call the final item, which was item 4, now item 12.
Item 4 is free cash to Police Department SPSA decision in the amount of $3,014,048.
Mr. Caffa?
Thank you, Mr. President. This order is to fund the arbitration agreement. This agreement goes back to fiscal year 21, so it's running from 21 through the current fiscal year, and this transfer will fund this till June 30th.
Thank you, Mr. Caffa. Are there any questions from members of the council? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on authorizing the free cash transfer.
On authorizing the transfer, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown. Away, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The transfer is authorized. Madam Clerk, is there any further business properly brought before this council?
There is not.
We will stand adjourned. Thank you all.